not ramping down. We're just getting started. Nothing stops this train. Nothing.
Okay, so today I want to talk about why I believe the PlayStation 5 is going to prove everyone wrong. Now, when I say everyone, I don't literally mean everyone, of course. But by everyone, I'm really talking about the companies out there that are chasing what seems to be, at least as of right now, some type of pipe dream, Google, with a cloud-only gaming future. But also, companies like Microsoft who were also pushing for this and doing things that are just getting away from what I consider the traditional console experience. Now, I know to a lot of people it may sound like I'm beating a dead horse, but I feel like injecting the PlayStation 5 in this conversation and talking about why I think it will really just kind of surprise not everybody, but a good, chunk of people out there. I'm talking about the people who have this idea in their head that next generation, and you know what? I gotta be honest here. I was one of these people, okay? I can admit that. At one point, I was one of these people who thought that maybe Xbox, which I think, we're gonna bring Xbox into this conversation because they are the closest competition that Sony currently has. For anybody wondering why I'm not really talking about Nintendo, is because Nintendo still is competition to Sony, but at the same time, not really. They're both kind of, they're competing in the same space, but they're doing things so differently. Nintendo's, marching to the beat of their own drum, and I don't really think Sony has anything to worry about per se. But, the whole idea of Nintendo and Microsoft partnering up, now that, would definitely have to be a cause for concern for Sony. But talking about Xbox and how there's a lot of people who have this idea that Xbox is going to make some type of massive comeback and suddenly just, in some cases, some people think dominate PlayStation and Sony. I used to believe this. And in fact, there was a lot of times being an Xbox fan, it's not really about sales, you know what I mean? Of course, that's the easiest way to kind of talk about competition between these companies, is to compare sales. They are important, but really it just comes down to who's doing it right. And when I say that, I mean who's really giving the gamer, the core gamer, what they're asking for. And frankly, I think what most of us are asking for, as we talk about time and time again, it's just great games. But I used to believe that even though Microsoft was putting out, mediocre games and games that just were not that great, not all of them were terrible. I did have some fun, but really just feeling let down time and time again. For some reason, I still had this thought in my head that, yeah, Microsoft's going to make a comeback. And then I really started to believe that when they acquired new studios. But then I just kind of woke up and realized that, what am I doing? Like, I'm sitting here hoping and waiting and simultaneously missing out on some of the best gaming experiences of the past 5 years. And so I just gave that up. And I feel like I see things much more clearly now, because not only have I just kind of got away from Xbox and really, listening to everything they have to say so intensely and believing everything they have to say so intensely. I've experienced some of these games, and you guys have heard me talking about them a lot and how much I've been really enjoying them. But some of these games, and I'm really not trying to be hyperbolic here, I'm being genuine, are some of the best games I've ever played. Okay, and I've been playing them like one after another, and I know a lot of people are like, man, MBG, you went full pony, but you know what? I'm not going to lie to you guys. It feels hard not to. Not because of views or subs or anything like that. I mean, again, it's great. I really love seeing the support. It makes me feel amazing, and I love seeing you guys enjoying the content. But it's really just because the games that I've been playing are on another freaking level, man. And and it just gets me so excited for the future and the PlayStation 5, and to bring this back. I know I just totally deviated from the entire title or topic at hand here, is why the PlayStation 5 is going to prove everybody wrong. When I say everybody, once again, I'm really talking about those who are, I don't want to say non-believers because that sounds kind of weird, but people have this idea that Sony's not going to be able to maintain the type of momentum and success that they found with the PlayStation 4 going into the PlayStation 5, that because there's more competition coming from Google and apparently now Apple, they just entered the gaming market with something that's similar to Game Pass, and hearing that Walmart's going to make their own cloud gaming service, and everybody and their mother is now seemingly getting involved. And meanwhile, they're all trying to chase these different markets and do things differently in the gaming world, and I don't necessarily think it will... I mean, it could be a bad thing. I don't want to believe it's a bad thing, right? I want to believe that the more the merrier, but, that's not really how it's going to work out. While all this is happening, Sony is just sitting here, man, rock solid, gearing up, because they know what works in this industry. Now, are they going to be able to capture 1 or 2 billion gamers with the PlayStation 5? No, probably not. But are they going to be able to maintain market dominance with the PlayStation 5 and the games they're going to offer alongside it? Yeah, most likely. And anybody who doesn't really see this, I think maybe either was like me and didn't play some of these games and just truly doesn't understand, like, it's on another level. And there's just really not any competition coming from Xbox right now, and the closest competition, in my opinion, that Sony currently has is with Nintendo and their exclusive offerings. So, there's people who maybe have that mindset, but also people who look at the stuff that, Microsoft is doing and just want to believe in it to the point where they don't see that, like, listen, there's nothing wrong with being positive and optimistic about what they're doing, because Microsoft is making some good moves. I'm not going to make it sound like everything they're doing is to their detriment or to my detriment and it's all terrible. No, but the truth is, like, there's just nothing right here, right now, that gives me any type of real, genuine hope that they're going to be able to bring out the type of games that are going to blow me away the way games like God of War have, and Bloodborne and stuff like that. I don't feel that way. Even looking at the studios that they've acquired, I want to be as positive as I can. And I'm not trying to bash Xbox here. I'm just trying to talk about the reality of the situation. I just think that for anybody out there who thinks about the PlayStation 5, thinks about next generation, and sees anything other than Sony continuing down this path that they've been on, I think they have their head in the clouds, and they just are not really thinking logically. Do we all have a little bit of fear that Sony's going to maybe get cocky and arrogant because they're on top? Well, yeah, I think it's fair to fear that and have that, but they are self-aware, more self-aware now than they were back, say, during the PlayStation 3 days. I mean, Sean Layden went on record saying that, that was a really bad moment for them, and they, Sony wants to reassure us that they're not going to have that happen again. They're going to do their best to continue to listen to the hardcore gamers and take in our feedback and listen to what we want and do their best to deliver that. And for all these reasons, this is why I feel like, I understand Sony still wants to grow. Obviously, they want PlayStation to grow. They want a bigger user base. They want to capture as many customers as they can. But this is why I feel like, the PlayStation 5 is going to prove all these companies wrong, man. It's going to prove Google wrong. Google's not going to stand a chance. Maybe they'll carve out a little market for themselves for people who just want to do cloud game streaming. But I'm telling you, man, when it comes to like real gaming experiences and getting down to the art form and, talking about quality, all of these things that I think matter to us, the gamers, right? Like the real gamers, not to be condescending here, but let's face it, if you're playing, Candy Crush and stuff like that, and that's all you play, and you call yourself a hardcore gamer, you're not. You're just simply not. And that's okay. I'm not saying you need to be, But what I'm trying to say is that for the people who do care, for the people who are in this and have this kind of, who are disillusioned with the idea that Sony's going to fall to Google or even, Microsoft, and Microsoft's going to have this beastly console, and they're going to have a cheaper console, and they're going to have all these games. Listen, I don't know if you know this, but making the type of games that Sony has made and created with their studios, that doesn't happen overnight. That takes years of cultivating the right environment, bringing on the right talent, giving things the breathing room that they need, and the resources that they need, and it takes a lot of time. I'm not saying Microsoft can never get there. I'm just simply saying it's not going to go down the way some people think it is. It's really not. Microsoft will, and I hope that they have some big successful games that they bring out next generation that really surprise and delight, just like some of or a lot of Sony's games have this generation. But the PlayStation 5, man, is going to prove a lot of people wrong. The PlayStation 5 is going to come out. It's going to sell tremendously well. It's going to prove, and this is the biggest thing, it's going to prove all those people who think the future is digital / cloud, or we'll just stick to cloud, right? Like, for those weirdos out there who think that the future truly is just cloud gaming, listen, I'm not living my life thinking 30 years ahead, okay? Thinking 20 years ahead, thinking 15 years ahead. I'm thinking about maybe at most the next 5 years. And I can tell you right now that the PlayStation 5 is going to prove that consoles and hardware and having that native experience is still just as relevant now as it was 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And I think it's going to prove that, people still want that and people will still support that. And the success that Sony's going to find with the PlayStation 5, it's going to really, I think, kind of make a lot of people eat their words and kind of show like, hey, maybe these people who've been supporting PlayStation, maybe they're right. Because again, I'm saying this from somebody who was on the other side, man. Like, I always had this idea that, everything at PlayStation is just overrated. It's just, it's just a bunch of hoopla. People are just, they're all sheep in the herd. And like, I had that mentality, and I flipped from that, and I just embraced it. And now I understand it, and now that I understand it, I'm looking at, because I like to think about the next generation of consoles, and I'm really seeing it through a completely different lens here and a different perspective. And I'm not saying that Microsoft, won't find tremendous success. I'm sure they will. And I'm sure that the competition will be, much tougher this time around for Sony, for sure, because I do not anticipate Microsoft having another Xbox One fiasco, right? And that's good. That's a good thing for everybody, okay? But anybody who's talking about consoles and the PlayStation 5 like it's going to be the last piece of hardware Sony puts out, it's going to be the last traditional console, it should be the last traditional console, cloud gaming's the future, digital only, all this stuff, no, all right? It's not going to happen anytime soon. I promise you, you're going to see people go out in droves supporting PlayStation 5, the games that are offered alongside of it, and it's going to, continue to boost Sony up, and they're going to continue to prove people wrong, man. They've been doing it right this whole time. They're going to continue to do it right, and I'm not saying that there isn't room for deviation, because of course there is, but it's like when you get to the core of what makes something successful, I don't know. I just think about console gaming, and I just think if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? And when I think about PlayStation, I think that may be the mentality that they have. Not to say they won't innovate, or I don't want to see them innovate, but I think you guys understand what I'm saying. That's going to do it for the video, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. Be sure to leave me your thoughts down in the comments below. I'm sure you're already way ahead of me on that one. Be sure to leave the video a like if you enjoyed it, or if you agree with it, or if you just enjoy the content in general. Really helps. Subscribe to the channel. If you're new, hit the bell notification icon as well. You can be notified anytime I upload a new video, and feel free to share the video out on top of all that, because it all helps tremendously. But until next time, guys, take care.